these are just some piecewise functions I printed off. You won't find them on your worksheet, but if you can do this, then you can do all the work on the worksheet. So this first piecewise function comes in 3 pieces. Each piece has an equation and a corresponding domain. So it asks if it's a function. Well, does the domain ever overlap? So if we look at the domain, x is everything less than or equal to 0, between 0 and less than or equal to 5, and greater than 5. Are there any overlaps? No, so it's a function. To graph this, we need to type in the first equation. So I'm going to type in, is that x squared minus 1? And you'll see here the entire graph, but how much of this graph actually belongs to the piecewise function? Everything less than or equal to 0. So if I want to know exactly where that ends, the easiest way to figure that out is to push trace, and I'm going to plug in 0, and I get 0 comma negative 1. Is that point an open circle or a closed circle? It's closed because that is an equal to sign. So down at 0, negative 1, I do a closed circle, and I draw that piece of the graph. Then I move on to the second piece. I'm going to type in 2x minus 1, push graph. How much of this counts? From 0, bigger than 0, up to 5. So I'm going to do trace, plug in 0. Oh, and it's at the same point, 0, negative 1. So right here I have both an open and a closed. Which one is it? Closed. Then I'm going to type in 5. Is this point an open or a closed? So at 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9 is closed. And I connect those 2 dots. And then I'm going to graph y equals 3, which is kind of a boring graph. When does this graph count? Greater than 5. So I can go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up 3, open or closed? Open, and then a line over there. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So is it a function? Yes. It passes the vertical line test, which we already knew because none of the domain was duplicated. And then I want to know f of negative 2. Well, which piece does negative 2 belong to? So if I go to negative 2, it would be the first graph, or I look at the domains, negative 2 only fits in that first domain. So I plug in negative 2. What is negative 2 squared? 4 minus 1 would be 3. That make sense? Okay. Which piece does 0 belong to? It's also the first one, so I plug in 0. Well, I already know what that is. It's 0, negative 1. So negative 1. Which one does 5 belong to? The middle one. And we already know what 5 is. It's this point, which was 9. Do you want to see another one? I got another one ready, or do you want to work on the worksheet? We're good? Okay, take a look at the worksheet. Don't let these first few problems confuse you. I've provided you with 3 different piecewise functions. One of them is named f, one is named g, and one is named h. And then you have a bunch of problems where you need to plug a number into h or f or g. So you need to line up the correct function, and then you use the x value to assign it to a domain, which will give you a specified equation. So for example, h of negative 4, I need to look at function h, and negative 4 belongs to the first domain, so I would plug negative 4 into the first equation. Does that make sense? And sadly, this worksheet does not have answers. I apologize. At least I don't think it does. I'll double check. But it should be a pretty simple assignment. Good luck.